Bethesda opened the showcase with a dramatic gameplay demo for Redfall and closed it with Todd Howard showing us how deep the rabbit hole goes on Starfield. And we also got a sneak peek at upcoming expansions for Elder Scrolls Online and Fallout 76. Here to break it all down for us is the man, the myth, the legend himself, Pete Hines from Bethesda. Pete, how are you?
I'm great. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. So about a month ago, you all announced some delays for both Redfall and Starfield. So I wanted to give you a chance to tell us a little bit about the decision-making process for that.
Absolutely. Look, with all the time that goes into a game, it would be foolish to rush it out the door before it's ready. I think we have continued to sort of examine how we think about games and making sure that they are going to meet our players' expectations. Obviously, the last 2 years have really challenged us from a development standpoint. How we work now largely remotely, while a lot of our folks are not back in the office. And, that has an impact. I also think we've been thinking about things like release dates and when do we give those out and how do we make sure we give one out that we actually hit and don't have to change later. So it's not something we undertake lightly, but at the end of the day, I think what our fans expect, what Xbox fans, what Bethesda fans expect is a high quality game, and we want to do everything we can to give our teams the time to fully realize the games they're making.
Yeah, and I think that's what it's all about, right? Like delivering an amazing experience for the players out there. And so speaking of games, we're just going to jump into it. We're going to start with how the showcase started with
Sounds good.
Redfall. Now, before we even get into the game, Arkane's making the game, and I want you to talk a little bit about the pedigree of Arkane, just in case people don't know.
Sure.
These folks over there, they're doing their thing.
Arkane Studios is known for really amazing, immersive sims. They do any number of things. If you play games of theirs, Dishonored 2, Prey, there's a lot of common threads you'll find in them. They create really amazing, believable worlds. I think that's a big part of their game is when you're in Dunwall or you're up on a space station in Prey, that it feels believable. There's a reason why things are the way they are. They're also big believers in systems-based as opposed to scripted. So they really embrace player freedom and sort of giving players the tools to decide, you figure out how you want to complete this mission or get through this area. We're not going to tell you how. We're just going to give you tools and then give you the freedom to go and do. But, there's great characters and interesting story. They bring a lot of different elements and then really let the player create the experience they want.
And that's what it's all about. Gamers have taken many games and made it their own. And I think the fact that Arkane is making the game with that in mind is super important. Now, how similar or dissimilar would you say this game, Redfall, is from the other Arkane games?
Look, on the surface, it's a first-person shooter that you can play solo or with up to 4 players. And so immediately you might say, well, it's not a single-player game, so it must be wildly different. And don't get me wrong, there's absolutely ways in which it is different. But I think when folks play the game, and even when they see more of the game, I think they'll start to see all of those things about an Arkane game that they love and appreciate. Why it's won multiple Action Game of the Year awards for Dishonored 2, is their ability to bring all of those things together, really high level of polish and let folks experience it. And so I think all of those things we talked about. If you want to play a game by yourself and get a great Arkane story, you can absolutely do that in Redfall. But you can also do things that you haven't been able to do in an Arkane game, like experience it with friends and find out sort of how the whole can become greater than the sum of the parts, like playing it off of each character's abilities. You saw some of that in the demo that we showed. I think the more that people appreciate that, you almost are going to want to try and play Redfall a couple of different ways. You might want to play it by yourself a little bit, play it with others, and it's a game that allows you to do either or both of those things, however you see fit.
I'm glad you talked about playing with friends, because I'm taking applications for friends to help me get through Redfall.
Can I put my name on that list? I'm down to a little...
It'd be an honor. Pete.
Keep me on that list.
All right,
we need to go explore Redfall together.
I'm excited. I can't wait for that. And so let's talk a little bit more about the game. Now, between the trailer that we saw last year at the reveal, as well as this one that we just saw, I feel like Redfall reminded players of other co-op shooters, like Left 4 Dead, for example. What makes Redfall unique?
Again, it's one of those things, like if you watch just like combat footage, you might look at Left 4 Dead or Back 4 Blood or any of these things and go, oh, I see multiple characters facing a bunch of enemies, and so it's the same game. But I think that would be doing a disservice, that it's all of the things that take place in between the combat as well as the combat itself, sort of combining different skills and abilities in the way that you do, Layla dropping down an elevator using her powers that Jacob can use to get up top on a roof and provide cover. You have different characters who play roles really well, how you choose to use Bribone, the robot, all of those things come into, again, allowing the players not to say, here's a set of rules and you can only use, no, here's just some stuff that you can go off into this amazing sort of dynamic, ever-changing world and sort of experience and explore for yourself. And you come back the next day and it'll look and feel like a different experience, even though you're in the exact same part of the game. I mean, I think those are the kinds of things that Arkane does that really bring that sort of extra special element that makes their game so compelling.
Yeah, compelling and fresh. So I'm excited for Redfall, and you said it here for everyone to see that we're going to be playing together. So I'm going to hold you to that.
Absolutely.
You got the proof. All right.
Can't wait.
Awesome.